Why hello YouTube, this is Baylor Mage again, and this video today is going to be hopefully a TLDR. We're going to try and keep this as concise as possible, because not only is there like 15 pages worth of intricate patch notes, the content reveal trailer or show was whatever it was is like over an hour long, and then there's a Q&A after it and everything, and some people do not have the time for that. So if you have the time for that, I suggest you watch the entire reveal trailer and read through everything, because there's a ton of information. But if you just want like the surface level TLDR, what are the real important bits, or at least what I think the real important bits are, that's this video. I'm going to try and scream through all of the important bits as quick as possible. So let's get started. Very first thing, confirmed, they're giving us Act 4. I'm not going to go into any of the spoilers about what Act 4 is, but we are not getting Act 5 and 6, just Act 4. However, we're getting rid of cruel difficulty, and they're putting in 3 what they call interlude acts, which will just be a few zones each, and they're little side content almost that's story adjacent, but not directly related to what we're actually going to be doing. We're going to be temporarily running those 3 interlude acts to cover what will be Act 5 and 6 later. So for now, you can do them in any order. All 3 of them will be available at once you've finished Act 4. That's just how we're going to get to maps for a while. Seems like a cool system. I'm not going to go spoiling all of the acts, that takes too long. Moving on to the next thing. Important stuff from the trailer. Real important. About 10 minutes in, they introduce sprinting. I'm going to play this a little bit.
When you hold down the dodge roll button, your character will go into a sprint after they finish the roll. This is available on all character classes, and there's no limitation on how long you can sprint for. The primary purpose of this feature is to make navigating areas faster when out of combat. Because of that, if you do take a hit while sprinting, you'll fall to the ground.
So, as we can see, sprinting just happens as long as you hold down your dodge roll button. Very fast. No stamina bar, no nothing like that, but you can't get hit. So it's not the same as giving us a base movement speed buff, but it's damn close, and it should make us a lot quicker around the place. It will not make you quicker during combat while you're fighting mobs, but it should make the very large amount of areas we have to traverse much quicker. So pretty happy about that. That should be really, really useful. Moving on to the next thing. Massive changes to support gems, right? Massive changes to support gems. This is a huge buff across the board to everybody. 2 things here. 1, this bit.
So with that in mind, we've removed the restriction of having 1 of each support gem per character. You can now use as many copies as you like.
Boom. So now you can use as many copies of support gems as you like in as many different skills as you like. It is worth noting separately later on in the patch notes, they did inform us they also fixed it so that you cannot have more than 1 of the same active skill. So there were different builds in the past that were using either 3 or 4 cast on crits, or using the bell, but like 3 different copies of it. You won't be able to do that anymore. You can only have 1 of each active available at a time, at least according to those patch notes, but we can use our support gems as many times as we like. That is part 1. Part 2 is that our support gems will also be coming with levels. These levels, in some of them, will be just getting a little bit faster. So like rapid casting tier 1 is 15% cast speed. Rapid casting tier 2 is 20% cast speed. And in some of them, tier 3 will just be, 25% or 30% or just a stronger version. And in some of them, it'll be slightly different.
The first couple of levels gives 15, then 20% increased cast speed. But then at tier 3, it changes to a new approach.
Which in this instance is 10% cast speed for each different spell you've cast in the last 8 seconds. 8 seconds is quite a while. So if you've got 3 or 4 active abilities, let's say you got 4 active abilities you're casting all the time, plus a curse, suddenly you're at 50% cast speed from that one. So that's cool. We're going to be having tiers of support gems. So much stronger supports, the ability to put those supports in every single skill. Very good. Next thing up is Abyss items. So Abyss is the league that we're entering. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of how the entire league functions. It's definitely adjacent to the Abyss you're used to, but with all of the normal PoE 2 twists that happen. But there's some pretty important stuff. There are items that can be used to craft weapons.
You can use this on a rare item to imbue it with Abyssal magic,
items,
adding a special hidden modifier to your item.
So basically, you just get to add a modifier. This almost looks like the same system we used to have for veiled items. And because we've traveled backwards in quality of life features, you do have to travel somewhere to actually unveil them. There's a zone at the end of Act 2 here. Once you'll get it in Act 2, there'll be a waypoint. You'll just be able to port there.
Souls.
But once
a giant cavity with a massive vortex of souls swirling beneath you.
We have to do this.
So how do you reveal the mods on your Abyssal infused items? Obviously, just throw them in, right? Yes, that's exactly what you do. Before throwing it in, you are given the option of how you want to transform it, in the form of a choice of 3 different modifiers.
Doesn't that look almost exactly like veiled items to you? It looks almost exactly like veiled items to me, except where in PoE 1, they removed the need for an NPC and made it so we could just right click on the item to do it. In PoE 2, they put veiled items back in, called them Abyss items, made it count as an extra modifier instead of like outside of the 6, so that's cool. But also made you travel to a different zone to do it. Bit weird of a choice there, but either way, strong stuff we can put in there. Really good. Another thing that's happening is that part of the Abyss stuff will have some jewels, including, and I am sorry to inform you, essentially the Timeless Jewel.
You can also find this unique jewel, Undying Hate.
As you can see, it has a seed and everything, just like we're used to from PoE 1.
This jewel transforms part of your passive skill tree into an Abyssal version, and has multiple depths. The deeper it goes, the more of your passive tree is affected, allowing you to fulfill your fantasy of becoming part Abyssal Lich.
So that looks pretty interesting, and it'll be pretty good for min-maxing, but it might be very annoying. I'm going to be honest, I was personally hoping that this wouldn't ever show back up in PoE 2. I didn't feel it was necessary. I'm a little bit disappointed that that exists, but it does, so now we're going to have to use them. Okay, next thing. This is one of the greatest things that I have seen so far. The passive points for individual content like Breach, Ritual, stuff like that we were getting in the endgame. Quite a lot of people weren't getting enough of those, or any in many cases. So now at least the first 2 points, if not the first 4 points, will just happen in maps as you're doing those mechanics. And then the rest of them will come from the bosses. And instead of having an invite token for the bosses, they actually stay splinters forever.
Splinters into the realm gate,
But
an interface will appear, allowing you to pick your difficulty, and you'll notice each difficulty has a different entry cost.
ta-da! So they've fixed the problem of, oh, well, I don't have 4 points or 8 points in here, so there's no point in me using this invite. I will lose money. Instead of that, you're just able to pick the difficulty. So if you need to unlock your passive points for killing the boss, it may only cost you 50 splinters, whereas somebody trying to farm it for a profit is going to be doing the 100 zone. I don't know if it 100% alleviates the like cost issue of it being quite perfectly balanced or whatever, but certainly makes it significantly better. Not only will we be getting many more of our Atlas points just by engaging in the content in the Atlas, it'll also become cheaper and therefore far more available for people to get the rest of their points. Very happy with that. God, there's a lot here. Let's keep moving. Crafting. Crafting is the next thing. Tons of stuff happened with crafting. I don't think it's every single thing I had on my wish list, but it's certainly a lot. So let's try and go through them as quick as we can. First up, essences. Essences have got reworked. Fancy new idea they had which is to give essences an actual role that might actually like guarantee that exact modifier will be on the item if you hit it. I know, crazy new idea.
Secondly, we're adding many more tiers.
They also have several tiers of those essences that give you that same mod in a higher value. Very out of the box thinking.
That lesser essence of flames, for example, has a regular variant and a greater variant too, adding even more fire damage with each upgrade.
So yeah, that happened. You know, if only. Unfortunately, the perfect versions, which also exist, do not work like regals like the other ones. The other ones are all regals. These ones actually work like our current chaos orbs, where they remove a random item and give a new guaranteed modifier. But at least it's still giving you guaranteed modifiers that are really good. And we will also have, I think it's 7 whole new sets of essences, as well as a bunch more omens and everything like that that'll be coming in. We do not even have the full list, so there's no point in looking at that. There'll also be, we don't have the list of all of the modifiers that exist either, so there's no more real information that we can give you on essences, except that they're going with this completely brand new idea of having multiple tiers of the same essence give a guaranteed type of role, just in higher values. Fantastic. Moving on, the next thing is they've taken that idea and given it to the rest of the currency, which is going to make our currency tab look a little bit more cluttered, but it's going to give us way more power over crafting.
At higher levels, you can now find Greater Orb of Transmutation and Perfect Orb of Transmutation.
So the important stuff here is that the minimum modifier level 70, or in the one back here, it was level 55. This just means that when we transmute items with these higher level currencies, they will only get higher tier rolls.
These can be used on normal items to upgrade them to magic, ensuring that the modifier generated is of a minimum level. This is similar to how you find higher tier items on the ground, but for crafting. These higher tiers will also exist for Orb of Augmentation, Regal Orb, Exalted Orb, and Chaos Orb, meaning you can get all of the orbs required to take your item from normal rarity to a fully completed rare with guaranteed high tier mods.
So that's going to give us a lot more power in crafting. How much remains to be seen, and there is still going to be some level of randomness to it, but that is significantly more control than we have ever had before, or we've had so far, at least in PoE 2. So pretty happy about that. It's also worth noting that the Hinakori's Lock also exists now. Okay. The next thing... the next thing up, I didn't actually save. Unfortunately, I didn't save a clip. But the next part up is there will also be exceptional bases. So exceptional bases are just going to be the same bases we're used to, except they can roll quality up to 30. They will only roll above 20, like on the ground. You won't be able to quality it up, but we'll be easily able to get 28 and 30% quality bases. Or they can also roll with an extra socket. So an extra rune socket, so that you have either, 3 when you're supposed to have 2 in an item, or 2 when you're supposed to have 1 in an item, and that'll just exist on that base forever. And if you Val them, you can even get an additional socket. So those are the 2 options for more new bases. That's fantastic. Last thing from the reveal trailer. Absolutely amazing. Ugh, fucking fixed. It's fixed. Trading is fixed, guys. Trading is fixed. Essentially, you're just going to have a store. You've got a store. People can just show up while you're offline and buy items. Fully asynchronous trading.
This has been a long time coming. We're adding a new system that allows you to buy items from other players without requiring the seller to be present. They can continue farming, killing monsters, AFK as they please, and can even be offline. With the introduction of King's March in Act 4, you will encounter...
That is amazing. Okay, so essentially you will give your stash tabs to the NPC instead, right?
Sale and premium stash tabs. And then when someone wanted one, you'd have to take it out for yourself and trade it to them. Now, instead of using those, you can give your items to Ange so she can sell them for you. Each item must have a price set. The prices are set using in-game currency items, such as Exalted Orbs or Chaos Orbs. Once a price is set, other players will be able to find the item by searching for it on the trade website.
This is so
Once
good.
a desired item has been found, you can hit a button, which will instantly teleport your character in-game to their hideout. Then, you can immediately purchase the item. And while there, if you want, browse their other goods, in case there's a good deal someone else hasn't yet discovered. You'll notice that as a buyer, on top of the currency the seller set for the price, it also costs gold to purchase an item.
So, really, really good. It does look like as a seller, you can have as many tabs as you want to give them, but you do have to give up your own tabs to give them to Ange, who will have them for sale that way. The old way of selling still exists, so if for some weird reason you're odd and this doesn't appeal to you, you can do it the old way still. I don't know why you would, but you can. Okay, that is all of that. There is also a stupidly long list of what actually reads like mostly nerfs. Now, that's because it is mostly nerfs. A lot of skills got nerfed in here. To be honest, almost all of them are still going to be buffed overall, because we have a lot of generic power being thrown into every single build in existence, especially with the new crafting and the new support gems and higher level support gems. There are also some, the equivalent of woke support gems. There's a few of those added in that are like drop only ones that could add quite a bit of extra power in the end game. This is a TLDR, so we're not going through all of those, but those also exist. With all of that power that's getting added, a lot of these nerfs will be countered and then some. So I wouldn't worry about too many of the nerfs that are listed in here. The standout options to me from this entire list are players, minions, and monsters max block is now capped at 50% instead of 75% by default. However, there were a ton of things you weren't able to block before. There were a ton of non-blockable attacks, just a ton. Over half of all of the attacks that were coming at you were non-blockable, and block still felt pretty good because you were blocking the other half. Now almost everything is blockable. Almost everything is blockable, but the new default block cap is now 50% instead. At least for what we've been told, it should feel in most cases actually better to have 50% block that can block everything rather than 75% block that only blocks about half of stuff. So that's a standout. We already went over that one. That one isn't important. The Trinity support can now be used by spells. I thought that was really cool and interesting. And the uncut skills and supports and reservation gems can also be traded through the currency exchange. That's real cool. There's also one new gem that interests me. The intelligence persistent buff gem called Ravenous Swarm. While active and enemies are nearby, swarms of insects emerge from your body and pursue enemies. That can't be comfortable. The swarms are untargetable minions that periodically attack and poison enemies within the swarm. There are a lot of changes in here. This one just felt odd and interesting, and I just kind of wanted to point it out. But I would suggest searching this if you don't have time to look at it and you're looking at a specific build that you're not following a guide for. I would at least consider like Control F and looking for your build, right? My minions all got slightly buffed. They're definitely going to be better than last time, except the Storm Mage, who's going to be worse than last time because it now only changed two mobs instead of 4 mobs, but everyone else seems better. That's not important. I would suggest looking up your build if you're not waiting for a guide. But otherwise, I don't think you have to worry about most things. Almost everything was nerfed. This whole page just reads like 14 pages of nerfs with about half a page of buffs in the total thing. But they're all individual nerfs to individual skills to try and make up for some of the power that they just generically added everywhere else. So I think we should be good. I think we should be faster. I think we should be overall stronger. We're going to have more control over crafting. I hope that's going to be good. This is already a 20-minute video. So I'm going to call it a day. I will see everybody next time. Bye-bye.